Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the pros and cons of Belmont Heights, Long Beach, California. So if you're looking at moving to this charming part of Long Beach, stick around and we'll get into it right now. Pro number one is the architecture and character. Belmont Heights is a mix of bungalow and Spanish Revival homes. There's also a mix of some, apartment or more modern type homes in the area. So if that's what you're looking for, this area is very well established, part of Long Beach. It is, quite unique. So that's pro number one. Real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know about the real estate market in Southern California. My name is Steve Batiste and I'm the broker owner of Next Home West Realty, and we get calls, emails, and texts every single day from people just like you looking to make their move into Southern California. So if that's you, don't be shy. Give me a call, send me a text, or shoot me an email. I'd love to help you make a smooth transition into the area. Pro number two is the great outdoors. Belmont Heights is a stone throw away from the beach. There's, parks, plenty of things to do, dog parks, so if you want to be in a community where you are, can pretty much walk to anything you need, Belmont Heights is definitely a great area of Long Beach to live in. Pro number three is it's a foodie paradise. Belmont Heights is walking distance to 2nd Street, which is, Belmont Shore runs through 2nd Street. And Belmont Shore, if you've never been there, you got to go check it out. It's pretty much, I'm not going to say the whole street through Belmont Shore is restaurants, but there's a heck of a lot of them down through there. So, there's also one of my favorite Italian restaurants is actually in Belmont Heights. And it's, it's rated right up there with some of the restaurants I can remember from when I was stationed in Italy. So if you're into food, if that's your scene, Belmont Heights is the place for you. Pro number four is the art and culture vibe. Belmont Heights is right near the Long Beach Museum of Art, close to, again, going down to the beach. So it's a very cultural and diverse area and, great art scene there. Pro number five is going to be the community feel. So lastly, Belmont Heights is a very tight-knit community with, farmers markets. You will definitely get to know your neighbor. Like I said earlier, a lot of people walk everywhere. So, you get home from work, park your car, and if you want to go grab something to eat, just walk down the street and you're there. So, being, such a tight-knit community, everything's really close. A lot of people are out walking around and getting to know each other. So if you're looking for a tight-knit community, Belmont Heights, Long Beach is a great place to look. So now we're going to get into the cons. Every city's got cons. This is not to negate, Belmont Heights or Long Beach for that matter. Just like any city, there are some negatives. So con number one is going to be the rush hour traffic. Just like any city in Southern California, you're going to have traffic. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's, you kind of get to know shortcuts here and there. But Belmont Heights is a little bit away from the freeway. So just getting to the freeway sometimes can be a challenge. If you're going to, if you're trying to cut through Belmont Shore to get over into, like down to PCH or, get to the 22, depending on the time of day, it could be absolutely a nightmare. Belmont Shore is very busy, a lot of nightlife going on down there, a lot of traffic going through there. And of course, if you're coming from PCH, there's a couple of different ways to get to Belmont Heights, but if you're coming down 2nd Street through Belmont Shore, it could be, kind of a nightmare. So traffic is your first con. Con number two is the cost of living. In Belmont Heights, you're looking at about an average of $1.6 million for some of the homes there. There are homes at a lower price point. There's some now for about $545 for a condo. Obviously, the closer you get down to the beach, there's homes down there, $2-3 million and up. But your average home in Belmont Heights is going to be right around $1.6 million, and you're looking at probably about, I'm going to say 1,400 square feet. Now, again, depending on when you're watching this video, the prices obviously change. They're going up actually every month over month. So, if you have any questions about home prices, just reach out to me, shoot me an email, and I'd love to, get you some more up-to-date information. Con number 3 is going to be the parking. Again, it really depends on what part of Belmont Heights you're in. Some of the streets are like very wide, but a lot of them are very narrow. So, parking can be a nightmare in the area. If you buy a home, or if you purchase a condo down there, you're going to want to make sure that it has a garage or dedicated parking, so that you don't have to worry about that nightmare all the time. And again, certain parts of the city, certain parts of Belmont Heights, I should say, are you'll have more problems parking. So while you're looking at homes in the area, just kind of drive around, go there at different times of the day before you actually pull the trigger and purchase the home. Because if it's a situation where you can never find parking, it's going to make for a very bad experience. But for the most part, it's not that bad. But it can be at certain times when they have like festivals and things in the area. It can be really bad for parking. So keep that in mind. Check out the parking. Con number 4 is there's an old school charm, and there's also old school plumbing. So when you're looking at homes in the area, a lot of the homes have been updated. Some of the plumbing has been updated, but you're going to want to make sure to check out the plumbing in the homes, check out the electric panels in the homes. Being in an older neighborhood, an older part of Long Beach, Belmont Heights has some homes in there that date way back, and their electric boxes might need to be updated. Plumbing might need to be updated. Get you a good home inspection on the house before you buy it. But that is definitely something you want to take a look at when you're buying a home in Belmont Heights. Pretty much anywhere, but in the newer communities, you don't really have to worry so much about that. I would always recommend to get a home inspection, but the older the house, you're going to want to look for what type of upgrades they've done. Have they removed all the asbestos out of the attic? Things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're buying in an older community like Belmont Heights. And con number 5 is going to be the soundtrack of the city. Traffic noise, sirens. If you're buying a house and you're a block away from the fire station, guess what? There's a lot of traffic going through there, especially down towards Ocean. Once you get down, actually on like Ocean Avenue, it's extremely loud. A lot of the homes down there have, insulated windows and newer windows on the house. So, it could be a problem, might not be, but again, you're going to want to check that out. So, when you're out looking at homes, just, everybody be quiet for a minute and listen. If you can hear the traffic, chances are you're going to hear it when you buy the home too. So, keep that in mind. A lot of times it's not that big of a deal, not that big of an issue if you're buying a home and it has outdated windows, or like I mentioned in the last con, outdated plumbing. All this can be fixed, all this can be repaired, brought up to standards, but there's going to be a cost to it. So you might want to try to negotiate that into the deal, if they'll let you, depending on the house. But just keep that in mind. So that's all I have on Belmont Heights Long Beach. If you have any questions, you need anything, just reach out to me. I'd love to help you make a smooth transition into the area. Send me a text, shoot me an email, or give me a call. Till next time.